Okay, so now we're just going to continue with the next three starters. And first we have Nobuo, and his three skills are defensive stance, wooden fist, and meditation. Now what defensive stance does is it changes Nobuo's other skills. Not only that, when he has this active, melee and range damage is reduced by 10 against him. Now it says that this skill toggles, and what that means is you can use it to put on defensive stance, and then on your following turn, if you use it again, it'll take it off. So basically that's just what toggling is in this game. Now this skill is one of the first skills that costs no energy, meaning you can just use this skill without having to use any energy in your move pool. So his next skill is Wooden Fist. Now what it normally does is that it deals 35 melee damage to one enemy. However, when he has defensive stance on, the damage is reduced to 20 melee damage, but instead of an extra 15 damage, what it also does is that it removes 1 energy from the target. Now what that means is that you're literally taking away 1 energy from the enemy's energy pool. Of course, that requires defensive stance. The energy up here is stated that it requires at least 1 red and any other type of energy. Again, this skill has no cooldown, so you can use it as many times as you want. Nobuo's third skill is meditation. What it does normally is that it gives him 1 strength energy, which is red energy, for 2 turns. However, when he has defensive stance on, it instead heals him 15 HP for 2 turns. Again, energy cost is up here. It requires a specific type of energy. Now this skill is channeling, so again, if Nobuo is stunned, that means this skill is removed from him. The cooldown is over here. It's a 1-turn cooldown. And then of course your basic standard invulnerability move. Now the next character is Daiki right here. Daiki's first skill deals 10 melee damage to 20 melee damage, to one enemy, and decreases melee and range damage dealt by the target by 10 for 1 turn. So what that means is when you use this skill on an enemy, any damage he deals that is melee or range damage next turn is reduced by 10. The energy over here is specific. You need 1 red, and of course no cooldown means he can use this skill as many times as he wants. Daiki's next skill is Stalking Dragon. It says that Daiki counters the first melee skill performed by 1 enemy for 3 turns. If the target is countered, 5 melee damage is dealt to the target and this skill ends. This skill cannot be performed while active. So what this does is, again, it's a counter, and it only counters melee damage skills. When the target is countered, they take 5 damage and this skill ends. What it means that this skill cannot be performed while active is, even though this skill has no cooldown, if it's currently active on an enemy, he can't use it until it's removed from that enemy. Energy cost is over here. It requires a specific type of energy. And again, down here, his skill is channeling, meaning that if Daiki is stunned or the enemy becomes invulnerable because it affects the enemy and not Daiki himself, then this skill ends because it's channeling. And then Daiki's third skill is Great Wall. What it does is Daiki makes both teammates invulnerable for 2 turns. So what that is they become untargetable for 2 whole turns, and the only person that can be targeted is Daiki. Again, unless a certain skill says that it ignores invulnerability, Both teammates cannot be touched or targeted at all. Now, this is the first skill over here that costs 2 specific energies, meaning you have to have both of these energies in your energy pool in order to use this skill. And again, this skill down here is aura, meaning if Daiki dies while the skill is active, the teammates are no longer invulnerable from this skill. And then of course you have Daiki's invulnerability skill, basic, standard. The last character of the Budou clan is Ken. Ken's first skill is Ultimate Budou. What it does is it affects Ken with Ultimate Budou, altering Snake Tail Punch and Dragon Fist the following turn only. Those are his 2 other skills. What this does is that it's what we like to call a prep, short for preparation. This is kind of like a skill that enhances his other skills. So Dragon Fist on its own deals 25 melee damage to one enemy, but if you have Ultimate Budou on yourself, aka his prep, it instead deals double damage. So again, you would use his prep first on one turn, and then on the next turn you can deal 50 damage. Now, Ultimate Budou has an energy cost of anything random, so you can use any energy you want, but then next turn you have to make sure you have a specific type of energy to be able to pull off the attack. And again, this skill has no cooldown, he can use it as many times as he wants. Now, Snake Tail Punch on its own can affect one enemy with a key affliction for one turn, dealing 15 affliction damage each turn and increasing the energy cost of skills performed by the target with 1 random energy. So what that means is, first of all, it is a key affliction, meaning it deals affliction damage. What affliction damage is it ignores any type of damage reduction or protectors. It's kind of like, if you really want to think of it, poisonous damage. Now, what it does is, so first of all, it does 15 affliction damage, and what it also does is that it increases the energy cost of the opponent by 1 random. So what that means is, see how this skill costs 1 green, which is a specific energy. If Ken was affected by Snake Tail Punch by an opponent Ken, it would make this skill cost 1 green and a black for 1 turn only. But during his preparation, Ultimate Budou, that instead lasts for 2 turns instead of 1. And of course, last but not least, you have his invulnerability skill, which is just basic and everyone has one. So that's pretty much all of the Budou characters. I think they're the most boring of the starters. They're pretty simple and easy to understand. But next will be Seinen, Saiga, and Arasoi. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop it here, and I'll do them in a second.